swept the money on the table into a burlap sack and gestured to Walter the giant to follow him into the back room. Walter nodded almost imperceptibly. The big man spoke rarely and was slavishly loyal. He trailed after Andre, walking lightly, like a show dancer, feet remaining close to the ground. His upper body barely moved. He had 2 Colt pistols, Army issue, stuck in his belt. No one ever doubted that he would use them, readily and often. Andre had been around, in prison both in Europe and America, and still he considered Walter one of the scariest men he had ever met. But scary men were an invaluable asset, as long as they scared one's enemies, so Andre kept Walter close by his side. The one-eyed Ukrainian knelt by the safe stuck in the corner of the room and bolted to the floor, a Siemens that an intruder would need a stick of dynamite to blow. He quickly turned the dial, left, right, short left, then right again. The safe sprung open like the door to Ali Baba's cave. Piles of crisp, new greenbacks lay inside, wrapped to the size of bricks. These were quickly swept into the burlap sack as well. Then, instead of returning to the front to signal for Janos and Imre to join them, Andre made for the far corner of the room. He threw back a faded Navajo rug, removed a pocket knife from his vest, placed the blade between 2 of the floorboards, and jiggled it from side to side. A piece of wood popped up, revealing a handle in the floor. Andre pulled the handle, and a 3-foot by 3-foot section of the floor came up, exposing a set of stairs descending below. The smell of mildew and rodent excreta suddenly filled the room. "Come on," he whispered to Walter, gesturing toward the stairs for emphasis. "This leads right to the river. I've got a boat." "What about the alley?" Walter asked. "Can't get out that way. It'll be crawling with coppers. You didn't believe I made some magic path, did you? That was for them." Andre cast a contemptuous sneer toward the front room. "So you're gonna leave them?" "Fuck 'em. They'll cover us. You're the only one worth saving, and 2 shares is better than 4. Walter considered this for only a moment. "Okay, let's go." Andre nodded and smiled. He made the first 2 steps without incident, but, as he started for the 3rd, his feet were suddenly rising instead of falling. The sleeves of his jacket cut into his armpits as he left the ground, seemingly hooked like a trout on the back of his jacket. Before he could speak, he had been turned about to face Walter, his legs kicking as if on a gallows, which, as Walter knew, would be his ultimate destination. Andre only had a second or 2 of awareness to realize that he was suspended in air, held aloft by Walter's left hand, before Walter's right hand smashed into his jaw. From there, only unconsciousness. Walter laid Andre down softly, as if he were a swaddled infant. With the Ukrainian dealt with, Walter pulled the pistol from his belt, took 1 deep breath, then kicked open the door to the front room. Janos and Imre were facing the front door, girded to repel a frontal attack. At the sound of the door flying open, they spun, but before they got halfway around, Walter's Colts had established who was who in the room. Walter waggled the Colts, and the shotguns were laid gently on the floor. Walter nodded to Janos, or was it Imre, to unlock the front door. The door swung open to reveal a thick-chested, bull-necked man in a skimmer, a long mustache laying walrus-like down to his jaw. His gun was drawn, another Colt, and he was backed by at least 12 other men. All wore badges, gold 5-pointed stars with USA embossed in the center. The man in the skimmer, Harry Swayne by name, surveyed the scene. 1 man crumpled in a heap, 2 with hands raised, then replaced his weapon in a shoulder holster. Harry put his hands on his hips, pursed his lips, and nodded with only slightly exaggerated admiration. "Nice work. Got the dough?" Walter nodded to the sack that lay at the entrance to the back room. "How much?" 50,000, I'd say. Maybe more.